Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Welcome back, everybody. We're live on Game Plus Television. That is Channel 924, TELUS TV. Rogers, Shaw, Channel 230. Did you hear Connor McDavid and Corey Perry scored in the second period, and the Edmonton Oilers rallied to beat Seattle 4-2 for their third straight win at Rogers Place last night. Cam Moon called it on 880 Ched, and he joins us on the program today. Cam, welcome back. How are you, my good friend?
Hey, thanks for... Oh, doing very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, God. Cam, how did that one play out last night? I went to bed long before it was over. Tell me how it looked from your vantage point.
Well, it was a Seattle Kraken team that hasn't had a lot of success against Edmonton really since their inception. The Oilers, with that win last night, that's 8 straight against Seattle, and they've only lost 2 of 13 against them since day one. But the Kraken played hard, and I'll give them credit. They battled, and if not for some quality and timely net minding by Calvin Pickard, it could have been a different story. Oilers had to dig in a bit. They get Connor McDavid back after the 3-game suspension, so there's a little bit of juice to the lineup, to the atmosphere in the rink, and you could feel it. You can definitely feel that, but it wasn't an easy win. They really had to dig in. And it was earlier in the year the team was in Seattle, and I didn't think the Kraken played very well. The Oilers won that game by a 4-2 margin. Philip Grubauer played well in net to keep it close. And I thought Seattle was a lot better in the one last night. But yeah, Edmonton found a way to get it done. Connor scores in his return. Corey Perry gets the breakaway goal. I mean, he was wide open in behind the D. Great pass by Darnell Nurse. But to me, it started with Calvin Pickard in net.
Okay, well, listen, it's something I need to get to.
Okay.
Has to do with your boy, Randy Moeller. But hang on.
Oh, yes.
You brought up Pickard. Didn't he just play last week? Like, why are they playing him so much, Cam? He's playing great, but what's
yes.
the deal?
Well, last night, Stuart Skinner wasn't even available. He wasn't even on the bench. His wife just had their second baby, so he was busy with that. So they had a baby boy yesterday. So Tyler Palmer gets called from the University of Alberta Golden Bears, and he was on the bench. He took warm up. It's his first season with the Bears. He'd played in Everett and Victoria in the Western Hockey League, having a great season with the Bears. I believe he's 11-4, so he's played well. So that was the situation there. But both goaltenders have played well here for Edmonton. Really since it was rocky off the start of the year, and that was for everything, whether that be the penalty kill, the power play, the netminders, all of it. And it continued to improve upon that. I mean, it had nowhere to go but up, but it did. And you expected it would. But when Pickard's played, what is he now, 12-4? I think he's 9-1 in his last 10 starts. So, Pickard has given him quality minutes between the pipes. And, Stuart Skinner, the game before against Buffalo probably deserved a better fate. I mean, they threw a lot at Stuart Skinner. And, when your goaltenders are among the 3 stars now on a more regular basis, I mean, that does help a lot.
Yeah, Dub Grads in goal. I love it so much. Which, speaking
Me
of,
too.
We have questions from the audience coming for you, Cam, which we'll get to in a second. But listen,
Okay.
I was with Randy Moeller last week, just shooting the breeze. You know how it goes.
Yes.
I know. And he said, bro, I said, how was the trip, Moles? And he was like, oh, my God. You know how he talks? He's like, Edmonton, he goes, they've created something up there where he goes, it's not just about going to an Oiler game. It's a destination. It's like Disney World. People are coming from all over, you know how he talks, right? All over North America to go to an Oiler game. It's a big, stay at the hotel right there, the Ice District. It's an event. I'm sure you pinch yourself every day to be the voice of the Edmonton Oilers, but to be part of all of that, did Moles nail it? Because I haven't been to one for a couple of years, an Oiler game.
Yeah, I would say Moles has nailed it. And he also saw it in the Stanley Cup final, so saw it at its absolute peak. So there's that too. But when that game happened in December and Florida came back here, for the rematch after the Stanley Cup, there was a lot of hype and excitement around that game. So he is seeing it at its peak. But that it is true. It's it's funny. Last game, not last night, but on Saturday, I was walking to the rink as I walked to the rink on game day, and I ran into a couple sets of people that were in from Saskatoon because they had come in for the weekend and were coming to an Oiler game. So that falls right in line with exactly what you're saying. You are seeing not just people in Edmonton and the surrounding area, but beyond that, whether they're coming from Central Alberta or Northern Alberta, or from West or from East or from Saskatchewan. You are seeing people come from far and wide to take part at an Oiler game, to soak in all that is Ice District and the things that you can do downtown before and after. And it has really developed. And as a guy that grew up here, and I remember that area of Ice District in the 80s, and this is vastly improved. And I think it's made our downtown better. It's made our city better.
Pretty nice when a plan comes to fruition, isn't it? So bravo, Oilers, and whomever's responsible for this. It's pretty damn wild. Hey,
can I tell one Randy? Can I tell one Randy Moeller story?
You'd better.
Okay. So I'm working a hockey school up in Cold Lake. So I would have been in junior, and it's what I did in the summer was work hockey school. So I'm up in Cold Lake. John Ogrodnik used to host a school up there because his dad grew up in the military. His dad was in the military. So we're up in Cold Lake, and John would have like some junior guys like myself, like Edmonton area Western leaguers come up and work it, and he'd have some NHL guys come up. And this is the first time I ever met Randy Moeller. First time. They said, okay, Randy's coming in for this week. All right, awesome. So he comes into the dressing room before we go on our first session, and I mean like maybe 30 minutes before. And he came on a Harley Davidson that he bought that afternoon in Edmonton, drove to Cold Lake, which is about 2 hours away, maybe 2.5. And he's like, hey guys, good to see you. Just came in on this Harley. I just bought it. And I hope you guys got like a stick and a tracksuit for me because all I got are gloves and skates. And he was in for the whole week. He came in hot and he was unbelievable on the ice with the kids. Super nice guy. Of course, I got to work with his brother for many years in Red Deer and very enjoyable. But Randy Moeller is one of the great characters of the game of hockey.
And in a lot of ways, the face of the Panthers here in South Florida. And in that same conversation about the Oilers being a destination place, he talked about his wedding in the 80s in Red Deer, social event of the season. And he said his dad rented the top floor of the Black Knight, bought 2 kegs. It's longer than we have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks, Mooner, for this story. It is. To the Oilers for a second. Well, we'll talk about the Edmonton Oilers, too. They were so ticked about the McDavid suspension. You've been around the game a long time. I think you and I are the same age, about the same amount. We've seen suspensions before and teams be pissed off about them. Was it the kind of anger that could carry this Oilers all the way to the Stanley Cup final, or are they over it by now? Or by then, will they be?
Oh, yeah. No, I think they're over it now, quite honestly. I understood the frustration in that I didn't think both cross-checks were the same. Connors was, born out of a battle. They're going back and forth. Hey, you can't cross-check a guy in the head. Absolutely. So is it suspendable? Yes. But it was out of a battle. Whereas the other one, that one looked more like out of nowhere. Like right out of nowhere. The Tyler Myers on Evan Bouchard. So in my mind, anyway, it's just my opinion, I thought whatever Connor got, Tyler Myers would get one more. So I thought maybe 2 for Connor, 3 for Myers was maybe the sweet spot, or 1 and 2, whatever. Now, if there was any sense of like Stampede Wrestling drama, they would have just given them 1 each, and then they played against each other in that game last Thursday. Now, that would have been a lot of fun, but, I guess not.
That didn't happen. And the Oilers took care of business anyways, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. True.
Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in.
Oh, baby.
And he's, him, Glenn Erickson. He says, I know it's not NHL stuff, but I wonder if Mooner might have a nifty story or two from his days playing in the old Medicine Hat Arena. Maybe the Section 2 boys? What do you remember from the Smarty Box there?
Okay. All right. Here's my Section 2 story. So Section 2 is right up by the visitor bench, the old Medicine Hat Arena. Rod, as you know, the benches were across from each other, old school style like the Montreal Forum. And Section 2 is legendary for just giving it to the opposition. Ruthless, but sometimes funny. So we're in there. It was Saskatoon. We're there. I'd split the season before between Saskatoon and Medicine Hat. And it was right before Christmas. So it's like mid-December or whatever. The game's going on. It's a good game. It's close. And Section 2's giving it to everybody on the Blades bench, as they do throughout the game. So there's a whistle. There's like a stoppage and just a bit of a lull. So it's like just somewhat quiet. And somebody from Section 2 bellows as loud as they could, and you can hear it through the whole rink. He's like, hey, Moon, you know what you're getting for Christmas? And he waits, little pause. A new set of luggage. And then everybody starts laughing. I started laughing because I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. And I look over at our bench, and they're all laughing. They thought it was great. And yeah, everybody in Section 2 is roaring because I had played there the year before. So they're giving me the business, as they would. That place, that rink, I'm telling you right now, and you saw it many times. And granted, you saw maybe one of the best rivalries in the WHL between Regina and Moose Jaw, which I can only imagine was absolutely intense and amazing. But that atmosphere violent, and could be violent. The Medicine Hat Arena, especially in the playoffs, was, to me, one of the best atmospheres in all the Canadian rinks in the WHL. The American rinks, it's different. It's just different. But there was something about that Medicine Hat Arena. I miss it. I thought it was amazing. I understand why they, built a new rink. I get it. That one in downtown was old, but it was fun.
It's like the figure skating capital of the world, because every time we came in.
Yeah, every time it was figure skating right before.
God bless them. Sure. Every time. Yeah, God bless them. Great gals. Fantastic gal.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. What do you have upcoming schedule-wise for the Oilers, Mooner?
Well, Thursday, Detroit is here. So Todd McClellan, who has helped turn that team around, former Saskatoon Blade in his own right, will be here. So really looking forward to that. Toronto will be here on Saturday. That's always charged up, whether Toronto or Montreal comes. You know how that goes. And these are the last two games of a 6-game homestand. And then the team next week has a 2-game back-to-back St. Louis, Chicago. So that's what's coming up. Really looking forward to Detroit coming in here. We were in Detroit earlier this season, and they hadn't made the coaching change yet. So looking forward to seeing Todd when they get to town.
Who's got the better barn, Detroit or Edmonton? And be honest, most actually say Detroit. Can you say?
Now in Detroit, I haven't really walked around the whole building. I see the press box and the underneath, so it's difficult to say. I love our rink here in Edmonton. There's a lot of great attributes to it, and it's fan friendly. It's very team friendly. I'm sure the one in Detroit is too, but I don't know that I've explored the whole thing. They did a great job. It is a wonderful rink, and it's fun to broadcast from. Anytime you go to an Original 6 town, I just think it's a little bit extra special.
Sorry, I'm rattling off. These are just popping into my head. It was unfair to ask you, being the Edmonton guy. 60 seconds or less. How do you feel about Alex Pietrangelo or any Canadian not representing their country? He's saying he's injured, but if anybody pulled out and didn't want to play, I say do what you want. But I feel like I'm the lone voice in that.
No. I don't know what he's going through. I have no idea And nor do fans, for that matter, have any idea physically what he's going through. So it's really hard to say from a million miles away, oh, you got to be playing for your country. That's tough to say when you don't know what he's grinding through on a nightly basis. Maybe those 2 weeks off are extremely important for him and the Vegas Golden Knights. So I think that's very unfair to try and judge that without knowing.
For sure. Cam, always good to see you, man. Keep her rolling. So proud of you and enjoying the hockey and your calls.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on.
The voice of the Edmonton Oilers, Cam Moon. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. So load them up. 902-518-3033. The number to text us here, whatever topics you'd like. We've gone through quite a few today. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live, and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.